Hey nerds, so we're going to be comparing some closed-back studio headphones to the Biodynamic DT990 Pro 250 ohm. Again, all of these headphones are designed for people that produce music and musicians and recording people. They're designed to sound natural, they're designed to sound good so that you can produce music. And a lot of people scoff at them because they're not enthusiast grade, they're not overly extravagant. In the community of people obsessed with headphones, they're just kind of widely used, and we're going to talk about them. And of course, there's always people that claim that there's better when there's usually not. So we're going to be looking at the DT990s up against the M50x by Audio-Technica, the ATH M50x, as well as the SRH840A. Now I know the 840A and stuff are known for having crappy build quality, but then again, you got to swap out the pads for all of these headphones over time and stuff, and they're all going to get dilapidated. Probably the M50X bad. Honestly, the DT990 probably has the best longevity of the bunch. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and look at the frequency responses for the M50X, the 840A, as well as the DT990s. So when we flatten the target here, we're going to be using my end game target. When we flatten the target here, the goal is to find the headphone that best fits this flat line right here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use the Harman Mark II target, just because it makes the treble look a little bit brighter on the other two. And the treble is the main reason why I still use the DT990s, and I consider them the benchmark. Now, when we look at these three headphones, you're like, the treble on the DT990s is your benchmark. I mean, look at this. Clearly, the other headphones have better treble. You know, they're less jagged, but you can see they have problems too. Mainly they dip down in the treble, so they're kind of darker than what they should be. That's the main problem. And again, the biodynamics, when the pads wear in, they smooth out quite a bit. So what I like about the DT990s the most out of these headphones is the DT990s have very bright and clear, detailed treble. You can hear everything. You can hear everything. Everything is detailed, open, clear, sparkly. There's no darkness. There's no lack of treble information. You can hear everything. You know, the sub bass rolls off, sure, the deep rumble is hard to hear, but you can hear everything. You can hear mouth sounds, saliva, clicks, crackles. You can hear everything, every little detail in the treble. It's hyper detailed. It's sparkly, it's musical, it's magical. And a lot of audio equipment, when we compare them, they typically have a dark spot. So we can look at the SRH840A, and my God, you know, these look like they could be incredible. They have more deep sub bass that's very audible. They have extremely good mid-range. It's not until, like, okay, it starts to get a little bit wonky in this region, the treble. It kind of peaks out at 6K more. It's got this dark spot around 10K. So it literally has a hole in the treble, and the 6K peak fatigue is a little bit worse. So when I trace over the DT990s, this is kind of what I want to hear, a bright, open, clear sound. When I trace over the red line, the 840As, there's some 6K peak fatigue as well as a huge dark spot, and then it goes back up. So when you listen to the treble, you're hearing this big 6K peak, you're hearing this big 14K peak, and there's just a lack of treble information. So you kind of hear these two spots here, and then just a void of treble information that's missing. So this would wear away at me, this would bother me. The DT990s just sound smooth, open, clear, and sparkly, shimmery, with all that information intact, especially in this region. So I would rather have less sub bass and a smoother, cleaner, more open, detailed sound than more sub bass and a more fatiguing 6K and a huge dark spot and then a little bit of bite right here. I would rather have the smoother and brighter, more open, clear treble. Okay, so these measure amazing, you know, all the way across the board. I mean, if we get rid of the DT990s, look at this. You know, if you're just looking at this and you're like, okay, I want something that's flat all the way across the board, this is really good. And we can look at it from my preference bounds. So this is within my preference bounds thoroughly. It's only this one region that goes outside of my preference bounds, and maybe here too. So again, we have this 6K peak fatigue. We have this dark spot. We have this sharp spot right here. And this is what ruins it, you know. I could trace over this and be like, wow, 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 this is really good, really good, really good, really good, really good. Uh-oh. It's no longer smooth here, you know. It's no longer smooth there. And we can bring in my end game target. This is what I like to hear, the end game target. And we can see, you know, that inside line here. You know, I want it to follow along this line right here. And it does it really, 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 really well. Except here and here. I mean, that's pretty good all the way across the board, except those two spots. You know, that's really good. That's really amazing. Okay. So we can take those away. That's the reason why SRH840A is very close to what I like. Just a little screwed up in the highs. Again, I bring in the DT990s with worn ear pads. You know, these are what I like. DT990s with worn ear pads. They follow my target all the way through. And extremely smooth. And they roll off the sub bass, but it's still within my preference bounds of what's acceptable. So they could use more deep bass, but besides that, it's within my preference bounds all the way through. Okay. So let's look at the M50x. So the M50x, yet again, kind of pushing it up and down to make it look better. Okay. So the M50x, my dudes, within my preference bounds all the way through just about. All the way through just about. I mean, it's really close to being in my preference bounds completely. I mean, we look at this little dip right here, little peak right here, treble hole right here. Besides that, I mean, this is within my preference bounds. This is really good. Again, we flatten this out. And we flatten this out, and we can see we can cheat and use this other target, or Harman Mark II target, which has a little bit less treble, make it look a little bit less bad. But you know, when we look at the M50Xs, they have this, you know, they're kind of chewed up and deteriorated in the treble. You know, there's some holes in the treble, some peaks in the upper mid-range 4K. You know, the bass is really wonky and wavy. You know, it's a little bit chewed up, deteriorated, dark right here. But, you know, when we look at it within the preference bounds, you know, it's really good until, you know, it gets a little dark in the treble, a little chewed up in the treble. And when we bring in the DT990s, yet again, the DT990s, they don't have this wonky dip right here. They don't have this peak out and this drop down. I want a brighter, more open treble. You know, a smoother spot here on the DT990s. Less wonky bass on the DT990s. So when we get rid of the DT990s and just compare the M50X to the SRH40s, we can see that you know, this is actually looking really good for the SRH40s. They have better bass extension. It follows my target better. In this range, it's less wavy, less wonky on the SRH40s. In this region, it's about the same quality. It's only until you get into this high, you know, the treble. It's only when you get into the treble. That's where usually, you know, the presence, treble, and air. Presence, treble, and air. That's typically where things go to crap with a lot of headphones. And then a lot of closed back headphones have things wrong with them in the lower mid-range, mid-bass, where it kind of gets wonky and warbly. But looking at this, I would say, you know, damn, SRH840A, amazing, 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 amazing all the way through. Better than the M50x. And you could argue that the treble quality is about the same on both of them. You know, which one is better, I don't know. But there's definitely some peaking, some cuts, some peaks, and that's just not smooth. Again, we look at the target right here that it's supposed to follow, and we can see some peaks, some cuts, you know. So really good, especially the SRH840A. Very good performance. And I would say it's better than the M50X in a lot of ways, to be honest. So you can see, you know, which one follows that straight line better. And it would be the 840A until it gets to this dark spot. So we can see it does so good all the way through. And then, you know, this one region gets really screwed up. And that's no good, you know. That last bit, you know, that's when the DT990s just steamroll. That's when, you know, this is the reason why I like the DT990s. They may have the least bass because they're open back versus closed back. But my God, they got the smoothest, cleanest sound like no other. They don't have these peaks right here. They don't have these cuts right here. The DT990s win, my dudes. The DT990s win. I'll see you guys later.